In today's episode of Today in World War II, February 12th, Soviets blow up, literally blow up a key Finnish fort on the Mannerheim Line. Rommel arrives in Libya to take command of the Afrika Korps. The RAF poops the bed big time, trying to attack and sink the fleeing German battle cruisers that were in the English Channel, ready to be sunk. The Soviets capture Rostov in Russia. The Germans were not able to relieve their comrades that were stuck in the Korsun pocket on the Eastern Front. Wah, wah. And William Keitel orders all German deserters shot without trial. Let's get started. Okay, so on February 12th, 1940, we continue to see more dominoes fall on the Mannerheim Line. Today, on this date, February 12th, 1940, at 5 in the morning, Soviet tanks drove up to a key Finnish defense fort called the Million Fort. They dragged sleds behind them and were able to get them up to the fort and blew them up. All of the defenders in the fort were killed, but they weren't able to take advantage of the breach. The Soviet Seventh Army still was not able to push through that breach, but on the eastern side of the Mannerheim Line on the same day, Soviet troops were able to capture the Kievismäki, which actually means hatchet hill in Finnish, a direct translation from Finnish to English. They were able to capture that, and so by the end of the day, the Finns pretty much knew the jig was up, and the government knew that the only hope at this point of keeping some modicum of freedom was to negotiate some kind of a peace settlement that at least got them that, and that's where we are now. So the battle will continue, but the end game is going to be taking place at the negotiation table. There should never be a battle about you subscribing to my channel. It should be a cut and dry decision. There shouldn't be any questions about freedom or domination by authoritarianism or fascism. It's very simple. All you do is just go down where it says subscribe, hit the button, click the bell that will notify you whenever I drop a new video, and I drop these things very often, and then you'll be in the club. You'll be a subscriber, and it'll help me and my channel, and I appreciate it. On February 12th, 1940, Erwin Rommel was named the commanding officer of the 7th Panzer Division, and he actually arrived on this date from Tripoli to take command of the Afrika Korps. And I don't know if you ever saw the movie The Bad News Bears. They had a tradition that before after the game they would talk about the next game that's going to be following, and they say like Buttermaker, the manager would say, "Okay, we're playing the A's tomorrow. What does that mean?" And they would say, "Bad news for the A's." Okay, well, naming Rommel to command the Afrika Korps in North Africa was going to be bad news for General Wavell, who was commanding the British Commonwealth forces at the time, because we all know what's going to happen then. Okay, it'll be bad news for me, unfortunately. Teardrop, teardrop, teardrop. If you don't like this video and leave a comment, it'll be bad news for me because it'll be an opportunity lost. Because just think of the tens of people that YouTube is going to show this channel to because you liked my video and left a comment. That's the way it works. We are slaves to the algorithm, and if we can help each other out, then that's really all that matters, right? I appreciate it. On February 12th, 1942, the running battle of the Prince Eugene, the Gneisenau, and the Scharnhorst, the battle cruisers that had left Brest at 11:30 the previous night and were now racing through the English Channel to try to get to Germany. This is happening. All the main battle happens today, and the Royal Navy and the Royal Air Force attacked that fleet over and over and over again during this mad dash. Now, it wasn't like they were being unimpeded by that. Of course, the Germans threw up a wave after wave after wave of fighter planes, and mostly Me-109s, to blunt the RAF's capability of successfully attacking these ships. And at the end of the day, by the end of the fighting, but when darkness hit, they the RAF lost 42 aircraft. The Germans only lost 17. It's the first time in a while that you had a clear, significant air victory between the RAF and the Luftwaffe over the Channel or over England. So you could probably say that the RAF pooped the bed a little bit on this one. I don't think they were prepared, and their attacks weren't effective, obviously. And so the ships got through. There was some damage done from a mine, but I think the Germans would have taken that all day long. So this is a clear loss for the RAF and the Royal Navy. On February 12th, 1943, in a clear loss for the Germans, the Soviet troops captured Rostov in the southern Russia. This was kind of like a miniature North Africa campaign in the sense that, over a couple of years, the Germans would push forward, Soviets would drive them back, and then von Manstein took over, and he was able to push them back again, almost rescuing Stalingrad, but it was going back and forth. So towns like Kharkov and Rostov, they they changed hands a couple of times during this period. And in 43, this was the last time that Rostov would change hands because after this, there was no going back with the Soviet, I mean, with the Germans. Even though there was still a major offensive to have to beat back in Kursk later in the year in the summer, but this was pretty much it for southern Russia as far as that goes. So they captured it, and now everything will be building now towards the Kursk offensive in later in the summer of 43. In on February 12th, 1944, fast forward a year later, and the Battle of Korsun happened in the Cherkassy pocket. The Germans had gotten a lot of their army surrounded, encircled by the Soviets. It was called the Korsun pocket. The Germans called it a Kessel. And at this time, on this date, the Germans had sent the German 3rd Panzer Corps to relieve the pocket. Now they did capture, two towns, Vinograd and Lysyanka. By the way, Vinograd means grape, just so you know. And they made some progress, but they were not able to relieve the pocket. That pocket was encircled or was covered by a ring of steel, as you say, T-34 tanks, especially. So that was not good news for their comrades who were, I don't know what was worse, dying or Russian Soviet captivity, which for most of them would lead to dying, just not quick, right? And finally, on January 12th, 1945, William Keitel, war criminal, on this date, he ordered that all deserters would be summarily shot without trial, and a lot of them were just hung up on telephone poles. We're going to see that a lot. And when they got desperate and they started activating the Volkssturm, the People's Army, when they started putting uniforms on and rifles in the hands of 60-year-olds, I'm 60. They would put someone like me in there. That'd be tough for me to fight with me trying to swallow all my blood pressure medication and my thyroid medication, but or they put even worse the teens, 15, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids, and of course they would run away and they would, hang these children, these babies, all over the place with signs saying I am a coward, so um, William Keitel was a war criminal. They were all war criminals, and Nuremberg could not come soon enough. Well, I want to thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it, and I will get you another video tomorrow.